Jerry Seinfeld has a series, I think it's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And he had Michael Richards on there, who's famous for playing Kramer, but infamous for a racist tirade he had in the middle of a stand-up routine that not only destroyed his career, but according to him, kind of destroyed him. He makes it out like he's more hurt over the things he said than over the effect that it's had on his life. Maybe he's being honest, I'm not sure. But the subject was very interesting. It was Richards was struggling when he goes back and watches Seinfeld that he wonders if he should have enjoyed the moment more. And Jerry Seinfeld said, no. He said, that wasn't our job. Our job was to make sure that the audience enjoyed the moments. And Michael Richards said, that's been the biggest problem of my career, is I've been too selfish of a performer. I should have been a selfless performer. Very insightful. Seinfeld, if you didn't know, is much older. And Michael Richards' insights are considered outdated too. Wisdom's never outdated, by the way. It's always relevant. It's just not always popular. So I want to look at, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I want to look at the past, the present, and the future of pop culture through these three elements I've listed in the title. It's going to be a pretty long title. But I want to start with Xbox One. So you had the Kinect come out. If you don't know what that is, it's a camera that attached to the Xbox 360. And people were skeptical about it. They're like, look, it could be connected to the internet. People could be spying on you. They don't want that pointed to them, that pointed at their living room. The next Xbox gets ready to come out and they say, no, you have to buy Kinect. You don't have a choice. You have to buy Kinect. Oh, and by the way, it's going to be a centralized hub for all of your media entertainment needs. You're going to funnel all of your entertainment through the Xbox. And so there's a lot of problems with this. One of this is DMR, right? DMR, one of the requirements of DMR is that you're always online. The Xbox was going to have to always be online for every game. You remember, if you remember all this, you couldn't share games. All games had to be digital at the time. And so you couldn't just give someone a disc and let them play. You had to, share it digitally, which meant it was going to cost you money to let a friend borrow a game. A lot of unpopular things with the system. And the way they were marketing this, I remember a journalist was talking to one of the people responsible at Microsoft for this new system. And he said, is it Blacksburg, Virginia, where they apparently don't have any internet? And he said, well, those people are going to do it. And he said, don't buy it. Just don't buy it. That's what you're going to do. And he said, yeah, but that's just one part of the country. A lot of people in America don't have internet. I, at the time, didn't have internet. And it was like, you're out of luck. But then they were selling it as this thing you had to have. And no one I know ever said, man, I really just would like a gaming system, instead of being a gaming system, to be a just centralized hub for all entertainment. And so the system was designed, was being pushed out the door as something you really want. You really want this. Now, what's the famous saying now? Nobody asked for it, right? But there's something insightful going on there when someone says that. They might not be thinking about it, but there's tacitly something that's being understood here. It's really interesting. I think Michael Richards and Jerry Seinfeld and the wisdom of the past understood that currently, and I'm highlighting it in the past right now, isn't a thing anymore. And I don't know how long this is going to last. But for your and I purposes here, we want to recognize patterns. That's the goal here, is to see patterns ahead of time so that we don't get duped. So they're pushing this thing out the door as something you gotta have. You want this. You need this. And sometimes marketing can do that, Battlefield 2042. Sometimes marketing cannot do that. In this particular case, Microsoft was really trying to sell you something that you just don't want, which history has proven. But man, is it something they wanted, right? Man, they really wanted this. Who could blame them? But I remember the way they were trying to sell the system was telling you things that were great for them, and they were really excited for it. And you should be excited for it too. And I remember going, I don't care about any of that. That's you. I'll give you a great example of that today. You may disagree with this, but I think crossplay. I think crossplay is not for players at all. It's for companies. What do I mean? Sorry, I had to get my coffee and it made a really good time to make a video. Crossplay is so these games that are these garbage games where they spend more time instead of working on game mechanics that you can't see, they work on things that you can see and pay money for. So we don't know how much content they've been spending time on that's behind some kind of paywall. Probably most of it. And by the time we get it, we're getting the bare minimum, right? So this game isn't going to last long because no one's having fun playing it. So what do? They put in crossplay. So the game can stay alive longer, you keep the volleyball in the air, and more opportunities for people to buy things. But crossplay is generally pretty unbalanced in my experience. I don't find crossplay to be remotely helpful in enjoying multiplayer games. I turn it off, and when a game gets too old, I don't turn on crossplay, I just stop playing it. So Battlefield 2042 got too old in about 3 weeks. I didn't turn on crossplay, I just don't play it anymore. It's not for me, it's for them. Okay, so let's talk about the present. The Ring of Power, I think is the name of it, Amazon's new series coming out. So what are we seeing? Do we see this desire to take Tolkien's work and say, hey, we're going to take Tolkien's work and really try to expand on that and really work with it? That's not what we see. What we see is a particular ideology that's been carried through, we call it SJWs or leftists or whatever you want to call it. It's always been around and it always will be. And they're pushing that ideology. And it really has nothing to do with the audience. They think it does, right? They think it's what the audience wants, but a big portion of the audience doesn't. Now, the portion of the audience that doesn't, what are they called? Well, they're called racists, right? But the fact of the matter is, this is entertainment that is not for you, and it's not for me. They don't consider it an audience anymore. That's not what's happening anymore. We saw that back then, and we're seeing it now. So there's a pattern here, okay? And I don't want to spend a lot more time on this, but I'm going to go back to Dragon Age 4 here. Single player game only. Okay. Shouldn't you be skeptical of that? Not that it's single player. I'm sure it will be single player unless some multiplayer game comes out and is real popular. They may change it then too. They've already changed it multiple times. But will it really be single player only? You cannot tell me that with the internet today, it will have no effect on a single player game. No. There'll be plenty of stuff that could have been, should have been free. Well, not free, but included. And instead, you're going to have to pay money for it. Because this game will not be for you. This will not be a selfless product. Now, should they be completely selfless? No. I want them to make money, to be honest with you. But I want them to make something that considers the audience. And I do not think, there's no good reason to believe that's the case. If this starts becoming the general attitude of gamers, I think that, and really all people involved in pop culture and entertainment, and that's all of us really, I think you'll start to see changes. I think you'll start to see people start to consider who they're making their product for. I do a lot of public speaking, and I've discovered through many mistakes that if you don't consider your audience, eventually it's going to bite you.